Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome dear learners. This is a video for the subject of education, for the course of Bachelor's in Education and for the paper of Conceptual Foundations of Education. We are going to have a discussion on philosophical basis of education. And in this lecture, we will be discussing the educational ideas of Rabindranath Tagore. This video has been recorded by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator and the presenter of this video are Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or reviewer for this video is Professor Jasim Ahmed from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This video has been produced under the project DTH Swayam Prabha channels of MHRD, New Delhi. Hello dear students, I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at IASC Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. Today we are going to have a discussion on philosophical basis of education, and here we will be discussing the educational ideas of Rabindranath Tagore. So let us start the discussion and first see the objectives of this lecture. In this lecture, we will be discussing the life history of Rabindranath Tagore. We will explain the various educational ideas of Tagore in terms of his philosophy of education, and we will try to elaborate the significance of the ideas of Tagore with respect to education in our country. So let us start with the life history of Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore was born on 6th May 1861 in Bengal in a very educated, rich and respected family. So basically his family was very much affluent. The responsibility of Rabindranath Tagore's education remained mainly on the shoulders of his father, Maharshi Devendranath Tagore. Devendranath Tagore provided Rabindranath with education of Sanskrit language, Indian philosophy and astronomy. And for higher education, Rabindranath was sent to Bengal Academy. But what happened, he got fed up of this rigid and lifeless education which was imparted there in Bengal Academy. So what he did, he developed aversion for the prevalent dull education and he left the Bengal Academy. In 1877, Rabindranath was sent to England for receiving education in law. There too, he got fed up and returned to India without obtaining any degree. So we can say that as such, Tagore got his education mostly at home by self-study. He had started writing articles for Bengali magazines very early in life. Gradually, love of learning increased by leaps and bounds in him, and he wrote many stories, novels, and poems which earned repute and appreciation for him. And soon he developed into a renowned poet, writer, dramatist, philosopher, and painter that people began to address him very much reverently as Gurudev. Sometimes afterwards, he translated Gitanjali into English, which was a very acclaimed work, and it basically brought him the Nobel Prize and worldwide recognition. In the same year, Calcutta University conferred him with the degree of Doctor of Literature, and in 1915, the Indian government endowed him with knighthood. But he returned this knighthood after the very disastrous Jallianwala Bagh massacre to express his emotion of anger at this episode of Jallianwala Bagh. Dr. Tagore traveled widely throughout the world. He went to Japan, Europe, and USA, and he has visited many of the other countries too. On 22nd September 1921, he established the famous Vishwabharati, which is a place of learning for Indians and for many other people who actually stay throughout the world. Vishwabharati is a place for learning Indian philosophy, arts, and literature for the whole world. The aim of this university was to bring about a synthesis of the East and West. For the development of Vishwabharati, he actually worked very hard for 20 years and established a place of worldwide reputation on stable foundations. Rabindranath Tagore died in 1941, and his death was actually mourned by the people throughout the world. Now let us see the philosophy of life which Rabindranath Tagore was having. Whenever we talk about Tagore's philosophy of life, there is a powerful impression and influence of religious, highly cultured, and a philosophy which loves the family to which he actually belonged. So basically, he was a family-loving person. He imbibed the idealistic philosophy of life and adopted the highest ideals of truth, beauty, and goodness as the chief aims of education to be achieved by all human beings. He was an idealist, and we can say that the core of Tagore's philosophy is idealism. So, Tagore believed in the absolute and immortal existence of God, but he believed in God as a superman and accepted this world as his best creation. And if you go ahead and see his philosophy in depth, basically Tagore was a follower of monism. So he was believer of a single God. He writes under quotes, we should try to search for God and thus realize that truth which will liberate us from material bonds of existence and which is capable to illuminate the world, the whole world with its divine lights. Quotes close. So you can see that by his words, he is actually telling a lot about his philosophy and his thought process related to God. Tagore believed that God is one and he has created human being and the nature. We perceive a unity in him and through him the fraternal bonds between all human beings and the external nature. So he emphasized adjustment between nature and human soul, and what he considered this adjustment as, he considered that this adjustment is basically the human being or the man. So Tagore was a great humanist and regarded man as a reflection of God. He disapproved any distinction and discrimination between man and advocated unity among all the people of the world. So basically, he was not at all thinking of that there is a discrimination between human beings. So we can say that Tagore wanted to inculcate self-respect and dignity in manhood and alleviate his soul. So for this, moral and mental progress is essential. He actually meant this, that for making this manhood alleviated and the soul actually alleviated, the moral and mental progress is essential. So that's why he emphasized that education should promote this progress by all means. Rabindranath Tagore was not only a philosopher and a social reformer, but also a very great nationalist to the core of his heart. He he actually wanted and he worked a lot for the freedom of his motherland from foreign bondage. To make his country free, he emphasized the need for economic and industrial development, social reforms, integration, and removal of untouchability, together with social discrimination in all its forms, beliefs, and actions. So we can see that his philosophy was multifaceted, and we can see a kind of divergent personality in the form of the life sketch of Rabindranath Tagore. Now let us see the educational philosophy of Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore has emphasized that among human beings, nature and international relations, there exists a basic unity and love. And that's why true education should promote this fellow feeling and love in all the present things. Education prevalent in the days of Tagore was very much rigid. Uh, then it was very much kind of logical and so lifeless that it did not conform to the needs of individual and demands of society. So whenever there is something which is very much logical, rigid, and lifeless, people who don't believe in that type of thoughts, those who believe in naturalistic things, get they start getting suffocated. So this happened to Tagore also. So he actually deadly opposed the education of that time and insisted that education should acquaint the child with the voice and mission of individual as well as international life and achieve a harmonious balance between all the factors. And Rabindranath Tagore achieved this ideal in his Vishwa Bharati. So Tagore basically believed that during education, a child should enjoy freedom. He or she should be free from all compulsions and restrictions. Otherwise, this child will remain sitting in the class like an exhibit of museum. Like Rosha, Tagore also upheld nature as the most effective and powerful teacher for a child, and for this he prescribed natural education for the child. This was the reason why he selected a natural and secluded area near an open jungle. Basically, this place where Shanti Niketan is established, the location is very much secluded and very much near to the nature. So that's why we can say that he was very much inclined towards natural education because of the selection of his place and the ways in which Shanti Niketan actually transacts the educational process. Although Rabindranath Tagore emphasized freedom and natural education for the child, but still he was of firm view that education is a vehicle of social reform. It should act as a life-giving current to the modern society, serving it in various ways. He believed in international brotherhood, and that's why by society he meant world society. He advocated that education should be according to the realities of life. Any education cut away from life is useless. He also was having this opinion that any plan of education should involve both the nature and needs of a human being in a harmonious program. In the words of Tagore, he says that next to nature, the child should be brought into touch with the stream of social behavior. Quotes close. So you can see that by his words, he's reflecting that how much importance he has given to the development of child in the close vicinity of nature. Now let us see the basic principles of the educational philosophy which was followed by Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore was a great philosopher and educationist. He expressed himself in these capacities by his own efforts. He was born in a family which was basically well acquainted for its progressive views, then the social and cultural attainments, political awakening, and also a center for the struggle of independence. Artists, poets, dramatists, musicians, scientists, and philosophers belong to this family. So basically, this family was having a very rich culture, which was full of the people who belong to different facets of art and culture. Tagore's grasping and imbibing powers were so acute and sensitive that he inculcated all the refinements in his personality easily and smoothly under the educative environment of his very good and very rich cultured family. This self education developed Rabindranath Tagore's inherent capacities of the fullest extent. He studied through the basic thoughts of the Western philosophers and educationists, as well as he imbibed the best in them to develop his educational views. And he actually was having all those ideals which were enshrined in the ideas of the Western philosophers, and also those which were also being given to him by his very rich and cultured family. In the words of S.G. Sarkar, he discovered for himself all the theories and principles of education which he was later to formulate for himself and use in his Shantiniketan experiment. Quotes close. The basic principles of Tagore's educational philosophy are basically a few of those basic tenets which actually make a premise of the entire educational philosophy of Tagore. So now let us just have a view that what exactly are those basic principles which come under the category of the educational philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore. The first one here is the medium of instruction should be mother tongue. So he also talked a lot about the medium of instruction to be the mother tongue. Then he said that during education, a child should enjoy full freedom. He should not be bound and he should not be forced to study or to do whatever others want him to do, him or her to do. Basically, he should have full freedom to choose and to select that what he or she is willing to study. Then the other one is that for developing creative faculties, this child should be provided opportunities for self-expression. Then he said that child should be educated in the laps of nature far away from towns. So he was basically a naturalist also. He also talked about that the child should be in the close vicinity of nature where the best type of education can be imparted. Then he had given the basic tenet as that during education in natural surrounding, child should be provided opportunities for social contacts so that a sense of social service is developed in this child. Then he says that foreign education cannot be the basis of national education. So he actually was having this idea that the needs of the national education, the requirements which we are having here in our country is different from the requirements and the basis which are there in foreign countries. So we should not follow the foreign countries. We have to see that what exactly is required in our nation. Then he said that national education should be closely connected with national life. So education should be very much in order to lead a a best sort of life. He actually made it a basic principle. Then he says that through education, children should be acquainted with the ideas and values of national culture. Then he says that Indian child should be given Indian education and schools should be reformed in order to make this education possible. He also says that education should develop harmoniously all the faculties of the child. Then he made the basic tenet as that Indian philosophy and social ideals should find place in the curriculum. Then children should not be forced to receive knowledge through books, and instead they should be encouraged to learn from original sources. So first-hand information from the original sources, if the children get, that will be the best sort of education, which was actually told by him. Then children should be provided full freedom to live in natural environment and learn by doing or by their own experiences. Then he says that education should not train children to be effective farmers, clerks, or craftsmen, but develop them to be complete human beings. So the sort of personality which is complete in all sorts was the main focus of the educational philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore, which reflects from all these basic principles. He's talking about the development of a human being who is complete in all sorts. So let us see the concept of education for Rabindranath Tagore. What was the concept of education in the eyes of Rabindranath Tagore? He was deadly against the then prevalent system of education, which snatched the child from the laps of nature and very early in life confined this child within the boundaries of school, and then putting this child into an office or factory. So as we have seen in the basic principles, that he was talking about the reforms of the schools. And according to Rabindranath Tagore, God reveals himself through nature more effectively than through man-made institutions. So in this way, the education of the child should be under natural surroundings so that this child develops love for all things around him or her. And while explaining the meaning of education, Tagore has written, under quotes, that education is highest, which not only imparts information and knowledge to us, but also promotes love and fellow feeling between us and the living beings of the world. Quotes close. So in this way, through these words, he is actually making a very strong impression that how the education has the responsibility of making this world a place for living of all the human beings, and also a very kind of loving and fellow feeling should be imparted to the human beings, among the human beings, by the medium of education and impartation of knowledge. So now let us see the aims of education regarded by Rabindranath Tagore. In his life, he has not written any book on education. But still, from his writings and speeches, we can find out that the aims of education which he prescribed, which Arun Tagore prescribed, were almost the same as were advocated by the ancient saints and seers. And basically, he has given a few of the chief aims of education. Basically, he advocated few of those aims, which we are just going to discuss. The first aim of education, which he regarded to be there, should be the physical development. Rabindranath Tagore believed that the healthy mind lives in a healthy body. That's why he insisted that the first aim of education should be to develop the child physically. And for this, he prescribed various physical activities as swimming, then climbing on trees, diving in ponds, plucking fruits and flowers, and various types of games and sports in the company of nature and the natural phenomena. He also prescribed a healthy and wholesome diet for children. So you can see that by these things he is he is reflecting his thought process, which is very much inclined towards the physical development, which is wholesome. So he was having the thought that healthy mind lives in a healthy body. Then the second aim which he prescribed is the mental development. According to Tagore, this is the second aim of education, and the education should be to promote mental development. Again, he says that he was also having the ideas similar to Rousseau or Rocha, uh, where Rocha has got a condemnation of bookish teaching, and he prescribed more and more activities and experiences in the open fields where nature teaches the child more than the books. So, in the same way, Tagore is also having the same sort of thinking, where he is also not willing to give education, he is not willing to impart education by the books or the textbooks, but he says that the best sort of education is being imparted in the close vicinity of nature. In his own words, under quotes, in comparison with book learning, knowing the real living directly is true education. It not only promotes the acquiring of some knowledge but develops the curiosity and faculty of knowing and learning so powerfully that no classroom teaching can match it. Quotes close. So you can just see that he actually reflects a lot in his own words. He is saying that knowledge should be imparted in a way that it becomes very natural, and the textbooks should not be given so much importance. Then the next aim of education in the eyes of Arun Tagore is the moral and spiritual development. We have seen that he was, from the core of his heart, he was an idealist. He emphasized that the third aim of education should be to promote moral and spiritual development of the child. In his writings, he has thrown light on a number of moral and spiritual values which education should strive to inculcate in children. For this purpose, education should teach children self discipline, tolerance, courtesy, and inner freedom. So, all these you can see are the attributes of moral development and the spiritual development. Then, the next aim of education, according to him, is the development of all faculties. Tagore's individualism is well known. He is very much known for this particular term or this philosophy of individualism. He firmly believed that the chief aim of education should be the drawing out of all the latent faculties of the child. To him, the child is more important than all kinds of books, rules, and teachers. His personal problems, uh, which can be self development, self experience, and self expression, can only be reinforced by individual experiences. So that's why Tagore opposed the crushing down of child's individuality by traditional, rigid, and lifeless rules or regulations. And instead, a child should be free to enjoy complete freedom to develop his or her mind and soul to the full or to the fullest in the environment of love, regard, sympathy, and affection. So in this way, we can say that Tagore basically has given this thought process that the child should be saved from the burden of the textbooks which he considered to be dead, and imposed discipline and allowed all initiative and self-experiencing. Then the next aim regarded by him is the development of international attitude. According to Tagore, this is the last aim of education, and this is to develop an international attitude in the children. Through Tagore, basically, uh, we have seen many a times that Tagore was an individualist, but still his individualism did not cut across his socialism and even the internationalism, to the extent he emphasized individual development, and to the same extent he advocated the development of society and the whole human race. He was regarding that the whole human race or the whole human society should be developed in the same way. And we can say that Tagore's vision was that an individual should develop to the fullest extent, and then this individual should contribute his or her best to the promotion of international welfare. So these were the aims of education which were prescribed, which were advocated by R.N. Tagore. Now let us have a look on the curriculum, the sort of curriculum which Tagore thought is the best for the development of the educational process of a child. Basically, he wished to develop the whole man or the whole human being. For him, the prevalent system of education which was prevalent at his time was faulty and defective. It could not develop the individuality to the fullest extent. And according to him, curriculum should be such as to develop an individual physically, mentally, morally, socially, and spiritually to the utmost limit, to the fullest extent. And for this, a curriculum based on activities and broad experiences in real life situation is necessary. This will develop the personality to the child, basically the personality of this child to the full in all its aspects. So he emphasized that together with various subjects, different types of extracurricular or co-curricular activities should also be made an essential part of curriculum. And if you go ahead and see that what exactly is the process of imparting education in the university which he has constituted, which we regard as Vishwa Bharati, even today, history, geography, nature study, agriculture, and practical subjects uh, are taught there, like the subjects of horticulture, gardening, field study, laboratory work, then sculpting, arts, then creation of different original type of arts, and vocational training, professional training, and technical subjects, and all those co-curricular activities are being taught in Vishwa Bharati. Even dancing, singing, painting, designing, sewing, cutting, knitting, cooking, and and many sort of other skills are being taught in, or you can say imparted in Vishwa Bharati. Vishwa Bharati is a very renowned institution now, and it is renowned in the world. And from different countries, people come to study here in Vishwa Bharati. Uh, there are a lot of cultural refinements which are synthesized, and you can see there amalgamation of ancient and modern achievements, which are being endowed by the students who are studying there, and different fields of education are being flourishing in that institution. Indian citizens as well, people from different parts of the world come here in Vishwa Bharati and study the different forms of humanistic activities. So this is the uh, impression of or an idea of curriculum which Arun Tagore had. Let us see few of those methods of teaching which Rabindranath Tagore was thinking of that are the best for imparting education. As we have seen that he condemned the lifeless and dull curriculum of his days. He also condemned the artificial and mechanical methods of education, which were prevalent during the time when he was actually being there. So Tagore emphasized that methods should be full of life and vitality. They should be based on the real problems of life. For Tagore, methods should bring out the development of the child according to natural interests and tendencies. And that's why this child should be provided with more and more opportunities to investigate and to research from original sources by his or her free activities so that this child gains knowledge directly. Rabindranath Tagore considered some of the methods of teaching uh, as proper and effective. What are those methods of teaching? Let us just see. The first one, which he regarded as proper and effective, is teaching while walking. He believed that education imparted in the classroom does not influence the mind and body of the child. He remains passive. Basically, this child remains passive, inert, and inactive when he or she is in the classroom. So, Tagore was of the opinion that during walking, the mind keeps awake and the child easily grasps knowledge of things by coming directly in contact with them. He, in his own words, has emphasized, under quotes, teaching while walking is the best method of education, quotes closed. So you can see that how much importance he has given to this teaching while walking. The next method which he has considered to be very effective is discussion and question answer method. For Tagore, real education is not mere cramming of books. Real education must be based upon real problems of life. And that's why he advocated the question answer method as very effective. According to Rabindranath Tagore, problems should be put before children for discussion so that they are able to think logically and they can argue out. They can make discussions, hot discussions, and argumentations either. So they will be able to develop their knowledge and gain essential knowledge in this way. When they will be ready to make arguments, they will be thinking logically, then only they will be getting the essential knowledge which they desire to. Then the next method which he considered as the most important method is the activity method. Rabindranath Tagore emphasized the activity method as a method of great importance because it activizes all the faculties of the body and mind. And that's why he made the learning of some handicraft compulsory in his own institution, Vishwabharati. Tagore so implicitly believed in activity method that he allowed any physical exercise or activity even during classroom teaching or regular study at some or the other place. So basically, he was having this impression, he was having this thought process that basically once a person is active, once the body is active, then only the mind can be active and then only the best sort of education can be imparted. So these are those important methods which Tagore has considered and prescribed as proper and effective for teaching and learning. Let us see the role of teacher in the eyes of Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore believed that only man can teach another man. Here, by man, uh, male and female both are actually taken up. So he gave a very important place to teacher in his scheme of education. According to him, a teacher should be having some of those activities in him, some of those sort of attributes in him. The first one is believing in the purity and innocence of child. The teacher should behave with this child with great love, affection, sympathy, and consideration. Then the second one is instead of emphasizing book learning or bookish knowledge, the teacher should provide conducive environment to the child so that this child engages himself or herself in useful and constructive activities and learn by uh, his or her own experiences. Then the next one is that the child should always be busy with motivating the creative capacities. Basically, here the teacher should always be busy with motivating and creative capacities of children so that they remain busy with constructive activities and experiences. So here what he says that the teacher has to maintain a very kind of conducive environment where he is busy with a motivational process and motivating the child's capacities and creative sort of activities so that this child remains busy with a lot of constructive activities and experiences, and in this way automatically the learning process happens. So according to him, this is the place and this is the role of a teacher in the process of education. If we talk about the philosophy of education, and if we just have a look, make an evaluation of Tagore's philosophy of education, there will be some sort of things which we need to discuss. What sort of influences he was having, and what was basically the thought process which he had once he designed the philosophy of his own education. So, if we go towards that, we can actually observe that Tagore was influenced by the book, which is titled as Robinson Crusoe. According to him, man and nature have an original integration. Uh, that's why we wanted to develop the natural emotions of the child in a natural atmosphere away from the dirty and immoral atmosphere of towns. So he was having this impression that only in those places which are secluded and which are away from towns, this best sort of education can be imparted. He also emphasized that the education of child should be according to the needs of this child, but his love of nature should not be taken to mean that Tagore was basically a naturalist or a pragmatist. Though his philosophy was very much leaning towards this naturalism and pragmatism, but still he can't be considered as a true naturalist or a pragmatist. As a matter of fact, Tagore remained an earnest idealist all through the life of him. He considered nature as a powerful agency for the moral and spiritual development of the child. And that's why he exhorted that all the children should be taught in the forest schools, as in the ancient times we have seen, away from the dirty and filthy atmosphere of towns, which exert a very unhealthy influence upon the mind and body of the child. So, these are those words in which we can see that how his entire thought process, how his entire philosophy was actually took a shape. He, although he was an idealist to the core of his heart, but he was somehow very much inclined towards naturalism and pragmatism. Although he was not a true naturalist or a pragmatist, He also talked about international brotherhood. So that is also considered as the uh, focused aim of his philosophy. And if we just have to see the entire contribution of Rabindranath Tagore, we can consider him as a very kind of great philosopher of 20th century. His greatness lies in the fact that while condemning a dead, rigid, and lifeless education organized by the Britishers who ruled our country, uh, basically he formulated and planned a system of education on ancient philosophical and spiritual foundations for the good of Indian people. So basically, he was a brave man who was dead against the policies and the sort of education which was being imparted at that moment when he was there in our country, and he started and he worked for those philosophical thoughts which were very much considered to be Indian and spiritual in nature. So, in this sense, we can say that he was a great philosopher and he worked a lot for the education system of our country. In the words of H.B. Mukherjee, under quotes, Tagore was the greatest prophet of educational renaissance in modern India. He waged a ceaseless battle to uphold the highest educational ideal before the country and conducted educational experiments at his own institution, which made them living symbols of what an ideal should be. Quotes close. So these are those words which very much reflect that how great this person was and how much importance he has in the educational system of modern India. So with all these things, if we just try to have a look on the fundamental principles of Tagore's educational philosophy, we can make an impression that naturalism, humanism, internationalism, and idealism was all those philosophical facets which were very much related to him and were at the core of his heart. Shantiniketan and Vishwabharati are both based on these very principles, which were the core of Rabindranath Tagore's heart. Rabindranath Tagore insisted that education should be imparted in a natural surroundings. He believed in giving children the freedom of expression. He said children have their active subconscious mind, which, like a tree, has the power to gather its food from the surrounding atmosphere. Rabindranath Tagore also said that an educational institution should not be a dead cage in which living minds are fed with food that is artificially prepared. Handwork and arts are the spontaneous overflow of our deeper nature and spiritual significance. According to him, education means enabling the mind to find out that ultimate truth which emancipates us from the bondage of dust and gives us wealth, not of things but of inner light, basically not of power but of love. It is a process of enlightenment. It is divine wealth. It helps in realization of truth. So you can see that by all these words, how much importance Rabindranath Tagore has given to the education. Education, according to him, is the best possible thing which can be imparted to a human being. And in this way, by imparting education, we can create the best sort of personality from a man. So these are few of those reflections which I was having related to the philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore. There are few of those very important quotes which Rabindranath Tagore has given, and among those there is one which I like a lot, and it says that a day will come when the unvanquished man will retract his path of conquest despite all barriers to win back his lost heritage. You can see that how wonderful these words are, where he is giving an impression that human beings have immense power to actually gather and create their own world, which is having a lot of things which are true in nature, which are uh, very much near to the nature, and a human being has the power to change the world in his or her own way. So, with these words, now we have come to the end of this lecture, which was basically on the life and the philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore. Let us just have a quick recap. We have seen the life sketch or the life history of R.N. Tagore. Then we have seen the philosophy of life. We also discussed about that Tagore was an idealist and a humanist. He was also a believer of international brotherhood and to a certain extent pragmatism and naturalism, although his basic philosophy was not naturalism or pragmatism. He was not only a philosopher but also a great nationalist. His educational philosophy was very much in close contact of nature and human being. He talked about a close contact of nature and human beings. The principles of educational philosophy which he has given were based on all these things, which on which the core of the philosophy lies in. Then we saw the concept of education, which has been given by Arun Tagore. He says that development of body, mind, and soul in the laps of nature should be the core of the education. According to him, the aims of education should be the development of the physique, or you can say the physical development, the mental development, moral and spiritual development, and development of all the faculties, and also the development of international attitude. According to him, the curriculum of education should be broad and flexible. He said that the methods of teaching should be teaching while walking, discussion and question answer method, activity method. In the eyes of R.N. Tagore, the role of teacher was to become a creator of conducive environment for a student. According to him, the greatest apostle of Indian Renaissance and Reformation was basically the the core idea which he has given. So we can say that he was the greatest apostle of Indian Renaissance and Reformation. And in terms of the educational process, he is considered to be the greatest educationist of most of the times. So these were few of the details of the educational career and the life of Arun Tagore. These are few of those references and suggested further readings, which I consider to be important, and I took the help of these references for preparing this lecture. You can also go ahead and read more about Rabindranath Tagore, the great philosopher of all times. And from my side, this is all for today. Let us see each other in some other lecture, some other time. Thank you so much. Dear students, you are watching a video on the philosophical basis of education, and here we were discussing about the educational ideas of Rabindranath Tagore. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the national lockdown period for COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your email to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you so much.